Okay, the Uncanny Valley. I love this. Who knows this movie? This one's, yeah, Polar Express. Exactly. You guys are great. So Polar Express is a pretty old movie. I think it came out in 2004, something like that. And it freaked people out. So what they did, they animated Tom Hanks in all kinds of different parts in the movie. He played a kid. He played, I think, Father Christmas and this train conductor. And they animated the faces reasonably well, but they couldn't really animate the eyes that well. So the eyes move kind of independently of the face, and it just, audiences then weren't used to this level of animation, and the animation just didn't succeed in making it human enough. So people actually, rather dramatically left the cinema, in shock and stuff like that. So this is a great example of the Uncanny Valley. What is the Uncanny Valley? Just really quickly, is that if something's really robotic, we don't necessarily connect with it very much on an emotional level, but we're fine with it. Then as it becomes more human, like we saw in WALL-E and R2-D2 and C3PO, we find we have more of an emotional, there's more potential for emotional connection there. But then when it kind of falls into this literal valley of it looking kind of humanish, but there's also this signal in our brain going off that this is not right, this is just wrong, then this is what Japanese researchers define as the Uncanny Valley. And then when we enter this right-hand side, as soon as we pick it back up and being really human, then it just becomes really comfortable again. So where we want to design our dialogues and interaction and the whole experience is basically on the right-hand side here. This would, in a conversation design, this would be like a virtual form, and this would be like a nice virtual form. And then here is voice and chat. So what can happen, and that's also what I call Uncanny Valley, is when the chatbot suddenly steps out of its persona or steps out of its what it actually is, right? So that sudden extreme shifts in tone, when it suddenly has human qualities, and when it pretends to have emotions, or when it pretends that it can do certain things that would only a human being can do. A great example, and all these examples in here are actually really nicely kind of written and fun and well intended, but that's where they go wrong sometimes. So here the chatbot says you'd like to book a table for how many people, and then the human says I'd like a table for 4, and then the chatbot's really nice little personality thing. It says I'll run over to the Metro D and make sure you get a table for 4. Now that's really nice, but that can really feel weird because a chatbot, it can't literally run or anything. So that's what's the last out of persona bullet? Pretend emotions, behaviors. So when the chatbot suddenly grows a pair of legs and it can run, that's when, I'm not saying all users will kind of be uncomfortable about this, but a large subset of your users can really be pulled out of the experience now. Here, there's another one which we have seen rather often. It's like the customer says something and the chatbot doesn't get it, and it says, sorry, I don't understand. That's fine. What you mean? I'm still learning. Now, we've seen over 3 or 4 years that customers just hate this thing, like I'm still learning. And I had no real explanation why there was such vitriol against this, right? I mean, I kind of got it because it just feels silly, but people really hated it, right? We did some user testing and people it's like, it kills them. And finally, I figured out it's like the Uncanny Valley thing, right? The chatbot isn't learning anything. We know it itself, the chatbot isn't learning anything, right? Even from the NLU perspective, the NLU is not the chatbot itself, right? So even if that in strict sense is learning to understand language better, it's not, like, this just doesn't work. So here, what's your favorite pizza? I love the pepperoni. Can the bot eat now? Seriously. You can have fun with these things because sometimes the recently let go employee, it does have human attributes. No, I love the pepperoni. This was something that we at Google, when we were trained, it's like, don't create answers that unless you're really clearly being funny, it would be much better if the chatbot said, I hear the people in the kitchen swear by the pepperoni, right? So you transfer the nice thing you're saying over to the actual human beings who can actually have an opinion about it. And you might borderline is like, I like the way the pepperoni looks or something like that. Could probably maybe work because it's like kind of feasible that the chatbot can see because it can read your prompts, right?